Welcome to my midlife crisis. I'm going through mine now, and I want to make this video to give you an idea of what it actually means to go through a midlife crisis. First of all, you might be surprised, like, well, you sort of look too young to be going through this. Well, depending on how you look at it, I'm 38, double my age, that's 74. That's, in theory, the average age that a man lives in the United States. And granted, I could live longer than that, I could live less than that, I don't know. But ultimately, midlife crisis, technically, the way I see it, this is it right now. Maybe I'm having mine a little bit sooner. Maybe that's the case. But I want to go through 5 signs of a midlife crisis. Now, where did I come up with this? Right here, based on what's going on now. I did look at the comment from a video where I had mentioned I'm going through mine, and somebody described a midlife crisis as becoming out of sync with yourself and trying to catch back up. And I think that's often a good way of explaining what a midlife crisis is, because so many stages in life you're in survival mode. You're doing what it takes to get through that stage of life. So for example, graduated college, I'm just trying to do what it takes to get my career started. And then I meet the woman I knew I would marry. It's all about the courtship process and all of that, the courting and getting married and affording a house, and and then you start having kids, and it's all these things. And now for me, age 38, just had my 20th high school reunion. It's a matter of realizing, wow, at age 38, and I think that's probably the age for a lot of people where for the first time it's not about, well, what am I supposed to do with my life, or how am I going to afford to pay off my debts? Because actually at this point where I am in my career, and for my wife as well, we're the same age. Today's actually her 38th birthday. What's interesting is that we're not struggling with money anymore. In fact, we have more money than we've ever had, and it's a matter of, okay, well, we need to focus now on financing the second half of our lives in retirement. So let's get into that, because that's really the first sign, is money. Is when you're going through this midlife crisis, it's not of I don't have enough money, it's I've never had this much money, and now I realize it's like this. It's like money before your midlife crisis is there's this carrot dangling in front of me, and I need to get to that goal, which is paying off all my debts and not feeling so financially insecure. So what happens when that's taken away because you suddenly have paid off all your debts? You're now, I mean, for me, my Jeep, which that'll be on my list coming up next, I was able to afford that. All these things that were an issue before financially are not. And so when you take that away, when you take that problem away, it sort of confuses you, because it was so much of your motivation before. And doing the right thing morally and even selfishly, as far as what to do with your money, well, save it, invest it, plan for your future. So let's talk about, so number 1 is money. Number 2 is car. I think that's the image when we think of midlife crisis. We think of this man who is probably in his 50s, and he gets this convertible that's like totally impractical, and he's driving around the top off trying to be cool. He doesn't look cool as a person, but he thinks he's cool because he's got a convertible. For me, it was never a convertible. It was always, this whole time I was trying to get financially ahead, the goal was the Jeep Wrangler. I always wanted the Jeep Wrangler. That's what I wanted. That was my avatar. That was my goal. And now I have it. And it's been so much. And I think for me it symbolizes the whole off-road concept, is being able to, whereas now my life is very predictable, this Jeep Wrangler is not. I can go off-road in a way to symbolize, whereas my life is so predictable. There's a video on YouTube called Why Movies from the Year 1999 Were All the Same, and it talks about how Fight Club, American Beauty, Office Space, the protagonist is a white man who has a very comfortable, predictable life, and basically he's looking for trouble. And I think that's exactly what place I am in life. When you don't have a struggle, it's almost like you look for one, is what's going on. So my Jeep Wrangler definitely symbolizes me looking for trouble a little bit. All right, number 3, emotional intelligence. Around the age of 35, again, I'm 38, but around the age of 35, by that point, you figure out who you are. You know what you're good at. You know what you're bad at. Your career is pretty stable by that point. Your marriage, your family, all that's at a stable point, and you finally realize, wow, most of my life, I let these things bother me that I should not have let bother me. And I alone have the power and the control to decide whether I'm offended by other people. I get to decide if I'm offended, disrespected, people are offended. It's always my personal choice. I get to decide, will I give that person power to decide that for me? If you don't decide it for yourself, it becomes decided for you. But by age 35, you get that figured out. And so for me, it's like, not only do I not care about what people think, I don't even care what I think. I don't even have a strong opinion about so many things, because once you know who you are and what your goals are, you suddenly are not bothered by these other things that used to bother you, consume your time, energy, and money. And so that's a big part. So again, just like with money, if you take away this goal, and that's kind of what happens with emotional intelligence, is that hierarchy of needs pyramid. When you're already, because for a lot of people, it's about, okay, I just need to survive. And then it's, okay, well, I need to get ahead, or I need to find love. You get to the top of the pyramid and suddenly, well, what's my goal? I'm at the top. And even for the emotional intelligence part of it, it's like suddenly you sort of feel alone, because you realize it's not that I don't have emotions anymore. It's just that for the most part, I don't really need them in the same way I did before, because I'm in control of my own emotions, and all these things that I used to worry about, I don't even have to worry about it anymore. I think that's a big part of the midlife crisis. Number 4, faith. In my Christian faith, I can tell you this, that for me, my faith is never been more real, yet I've never been more the realization of, hey, even if I'm wrong, I still choose this faith, and I'm okay with that. It's a matter of, I may be wrong, but I choose to believe anyway. And I think for me, that's a sign suddenly that my faith has never been strong. I know that sounds like Pascal's wager, but ultimately, for me, that symbolizes growth in my faith, because I realize this is who I am. I choose to believe this, even if I am wrong. Number 5, death. I've never been more aware of my impending death at some point. And it's just like with the concept of when you're 20, you're invincible. You can't imagine that you'll die. But when you're halfway through your life, you realize, yeah, that's actually going to happen, and I can come to terms with it more so than ever. And I think that's in line with my faith too. What's my game plan for after this life? What I believe happens next? So when it comes to death, plus as you get older, people that are older than you are getting older, and you're coming to terms with, well, I won't always have them in my life. And I think that's a big part of this too. So dealing with all of this, we can call this a crisis. Now I will say, I'm not a person who lives in fear. I'm not worried about these things, but it's almost like a new form of enlightenment. Once you come to this point in life, you're not worried about all the petty distractions you were before, because halfway through life, you've got more focus. You realize, okay, I've got this much less time left, but I've got this much figured out now that I didn't have before. So it's an interesting place to be. I don't know that crisis is the right word. It's more of an acknowledgement, an epiphany, an enlightenment. So these are the things that you can't know and you can't have when you're 20 years old, when you're a teenager, or even when I was 30. I didn't know anything even when I was 30. I had so much more to figure out at age 30. I was still in debt when I was at 30. I still let people hurt my feelings at age 30. So all these things changed. I feel that once you hit 35, things sort of start lining up, coming together. It's been 3 years since then for me. And so for me, this whole midlife crisis thing, there's got to be a better word for crisis, because I'm not living in fear or anxiety or depression or anything like that. I'm just suddenly, maybe the word's woke, my midlife wokeness, whatever the right word is. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you can, if you're younger than me, get a glimpse of really what this actually means. It can be a really good thing if you're in control of it. I think the real crisis would be if you weren't in control of these things and you were worried about money, worried about a card for whatever reason. If you didn't have the emotional intelligence, if your faith is still unfigured out at this point, if you're worried about death, and even the fact that I'm doing all these videos about atheism on my channel for atheists as a Christian, that is for me that I've never been more comfortable in my faith. I'm not figuring out my faith. A lot of atheists watch my channels because they are looking for confirmation of their beliefs. When you are solid in your identity, you're not looking for confirmation from other people. You're okay and you're strong in your beliefs. I had that t-shirt. Hi, I don't care. Thanks. I should have wore it for this video actually, but you've seen it in other ones. I think that's really where I'm at in life. So there's my story. Midlife crisis. 5 signs of mine. I would love to talk more about this. I think it's a very relevant subject. Your comments, your thoughts, your beliefs, your perspective belongs right here.